So as you can see, it is the desire of all the devotees of ISKCON, all our leaders. They are encouraging everyone to come forward to participate in building this temple. It is our good fortune that in the maturity of our lifetimes, such a wonderful project is manifesting where we have the opportunity to come forward and do seva in this project so we can offer it to Srila Prabhupada, and the project will benefit the entire world. Our children and grandchildren will be proud of us that their fathers and mothers and grandfathers were the ones who contributed to build this temple. This temple will be an inspiration to hundreds of thousands of devotees all over the world. I now invite His Grace Praghosh Prabhu, the Vice Chairman of the project, also the GBC for UK Yatra, to speak to us about the project, and thereafter I will explain to you the different categories in which and how all of us can come forward and make a commitment tonight. We are not asking for money tonight, but we are asking people to become committed, to become associated with the project and share some of the burden of love in making this temple happen and offering it to Srila Prabhupada. So Praghosh Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Come.
Om Ajnat Marandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swaya Rupa Galamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, everybody. Good evening. Firstly, I would just like to say a big thank you to the TOVP team behind me, excluding Prahlad and Anamar, but the whole team, who've been traveling the world, literally traveling the globe. Obviously India, Middle East, North America, now they're in UK. Also, they'll be going to Australasia, etc. So it's a huge commitment over the last couple of years. Radhajivan Prabhu has told me that literally he's been at home for maybe 2 weeks of the last year and a half. So I just think a real big thank you to the TOVP team for making such a sacrifice. Thank you very much. I'd also very much like to thank the organizers of this event, mostly sitting there at this table here. So we'd very much like to thank, it's a co-event between ISKCON London and ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Manor. So we'd like to thank Shruti Dharma Prabhu and his team. I think in particular, we should thank, at the table we have Gauri Prabhu and we have Sundarananda Prabhu representing the Patrons Council. And I think we should also thank Neelamadhava Prabhu, who's been the hands-on man on the ground. So thank you very much. And of course, Jainatai Prabhu, who also hosted last night at Soho, in a slightly smaller venue, which was absolutely jam-packed, and it was great energy, and it was a great experience. So thank you very much, Jainatai Prabhu. And the final thank you would be just to the team who are helping the TOVP team while they're here in the UK, looking after them, cooking for them, and giving them accommodation and all of that kind of thing. I think I'd like to thank Sukanti Radha, Devidasi, and Dipesh, and Ijas, who's their driver. So a big thanks to them for looking after them while they're here. Okay, so Radhajivan Prabhu said something about me speaking in your language. So maybe I should now be saying Cade Mila Fulcher. And I'm also happy to say, you can see that table there, they've got their hands in the air. We have a table representing Ireland this evening. So thank you, Ireland, for coming. But I better not go on anymore with that language because I don't think even you understand it. Okay, so this project, the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, Srila Prabhupada described it as one of the core elements of ISKCON, for establishing ISKCON and then maintaining ISKCON. And he talked about two reasons for that. One was to establish Sridham Mayapur as the world headquarters of the Hare Krishna movement. And of course, it is the world headquarters of the Hare Krishna movement. And the second reason was that it would be the place where this temple, the temple of the Vedic planetarium, would be built and would manifest. So for those two reasons, this was one of the real core elements, core strategies for Prabhupada establishing ISKCON. And right from the get-go, Prabhupada was talking about this project, going right back to the 60s. And then he started talking about he really wanted to secure a piece of land in Mayapur. And even one devotee said to him one time, who was traveling with him when they went to Mayapur from Calcutta, one devotee said to him, "Prabhupada, what do you want a piece of land here for? It's just rice fields. There's absolutely nothing here." But of course, Prabhupada had this enormous vision going forward that yes, it's rice fields now, but anybody who's been there recently will see that it's not rice fields anymore. We still do grow some rice there, by the way, but it's not just rice fields. And in 1971 in particular, Prabhupada was in Calcutta, and he had one devotee, Narayan Prabhu, build a scaled model of the temple of the Vedic planetarium. And Prabhupada was in his room in the Calcutta temple, and the scaled model was there, and he had loads of people visiting. And as those people were coming through, he was asking all of them to help with this project, and that was 1971. Later on that year, 71 into 72, the devotees did actually secure that piece of land, 3 acres in Sridham Mayapur. We have a few more now, but initially it was 3 acres. And Prabhupada was in ecstasy when the devotees reported to him and said, we have the land now, Srila Prabhupada. And then, as has been mentioned, that Mayapur festival, Prabhupada went there, and one of the things that he did was he laid the foundation stone and the Anantashesh deity. Prabhupada actually laid that foundation stone on the 29th of February, 1972. So even that's interesting that it was a leap year. It only happens once every 4 years that Prabhupada did that. Also, Prabhupada was in his 70s now. I think he was 72. And the devotees dug the hole 15 or so feet deep for Prabhupada to lay the stone. And you might know, anybody who's been in India, particularly West Bengal, when they're building buildings, over here in the West, they have this really secure-looking scaffolding. And, you know, the metal things that lock together, and they're fixed firm, and it's real solid, and you stand on it, and you can't even shake it. In India, the scaffolding is bamboo sticks put together. And the ladder for Srila Prabhupada to go down into that hole was a rinky-dinky, rickety bamboo ladder. And Prabhupada is 72 years of age. But I think Jagannatha Prabhu said it yesterday, Prabhupada was like Navayovana. He was like this youthful boy, and he just jumped onto the bamboo ladder, having faith that it wouldn't collapse, and he climbed down really swiftly into this 15 or 20-foot hole, and he laid the foundation stone. So the laying of that stone was like a vow from Prabhupada. He was giving his vow that this project would manifest and it would be completed, even beyond his manifest pastimes on this particular planet, that it would be done. And we've seen, Ambarish Prabhu touched on them, the problems that we've encountered over the last 40 plus years in trying to get this project started. It almost appears that nothing was happening for the last 40 years, but no, behind the scenes there's a whole team of devotees who are trying to move it forward, and particularly get permission to actually start the construction. And somehow or another, 4 or so years ago, that permission was granted, and we were able to start construction. And everyone was very, very joyous. Of course, I was actually in Mayapur at the time, and initially I was joyous, but then it became a little bit less so, because the first part of the construction was the laying of these piles. I think the piles are 100 meters long, and 3,000 of them had to be banged into the ground, because Mayapur, as you know, it's not like Manhattan, which is built on granite. Mayapur is mud, and you can't build on mud because it just is no good. So they had to put these 3,000 piles into the ground, and the temple is effectively, that's the foundation. They're built on those 3,000 piles. But putting those piles into the ground 100 meters long, and it was very expensive to get all the equipment there to do that. So as soon as the equipment arrived, they were working around the clock, 24/7 around the clock. And I remember one evening in Mayapur, my room, I typically was unfortunate enough to be in the long building. The long building is the closest building to the construction site of the TOVP. Took rest in room 225 all night long, boom, 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 boom. I think I woke up in room 230 and surprised the people who were actually in that room. So it started, the construction started, and it was so exciting for everybody. But Prabhupada's thing, this is called the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. That's the title of this. So it's different than all of our other temples around the world. All of our other temples, we have our regular programs there, and of course we have our deities, and the deity worship takes place, the morning program, our different activities go on. But this temple is called the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. And from a cosmological point of view, it's really, really significant. Our understanding is that it's the realized manifestation of the philosophy of Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. That Krishna is simultaneously everything, but he's connected to nothing. The simultaneous one and different. So it's the realized manifestation of that. And thus, it's countering two key atheistic philosophies. The first one is impersonalism or monism, that actually it's all illusion. Krishna doesn't exist, these energies don't exist, and it's just one big illusion. Nirvisheshavad. And the other is Sunyavad, materialism or nihilism, that yes, the energies exist, but there's no source to them, or there's no supreme person behind those energies. So the principle of, as we read in Bhagavad Gita, the noumena behind the phenomena. So the phenomenal world has a noumena behind it, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that is being denied. So it will counter those two key things. It will also show on the inner walls of the main dome, you will see all these concentric circles leading right up to the top. And they will show the journey of Gopakumar all through the material realms, right through the spiritual realms, up to the lotus feet of Krishna. They will depict that journey as described by Sanatana Goswami in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. And in the main dome itself will be the most spectacular exhibit of the whole temple of the Vedic Planetarium. And that will be, as described in the Brahma Samhita. As described in the Brahma Samhita, Goloka Namni Dvijadamni Tale Chatasya, Devi Mahesha Haridama Suteshu Teshu. All of the different dams coming from Gokul, or coming from the material realm, and going up through all the different dams right up to Goloka Vrindavan. And this will be in the form of a chandelier coming right down from the main dome, right down, sitting over the main altar. So as you're standing there for darshan, you'll be looking at the main altar, and directly above the main altar will depict all these dams right up to Goloka Vrindavan. And of course, there will be escalators that you can take to go up through these different dams. So it's actually going to be very, very exciting too. So that's the main purpose, to actually show the world, the Vedic version of the creation of this universe, and that it's not an atheistic understanding. I read an article, you may have heard me speak on this before, I read an article some time ago on the BBC website, and it was quite a long article, and there were 4 or 5 prominent scientists that were involved in writing of this article. And it was quite long, about 10 computer screens long. But they had their chatur sloki. They didn't say it was the chatur sloki, but they said, here are the 2 key sentences that is the essence of the message that we want to convey to you. And the first sentence was, this universe that we're all in now, existing in, this universe, it popped into existence out of nothing. It popped into existence out of nothing. However, second sentence, because nothing is inherently unstable, I don't know if you all knew that nothing is inherently unstable. Because nothing is inherently unstable, something had to come from it. So what came from nothing was all of these universes that we see. When you read that, even as an aspiring devotee, you think, wow, that sounds pretty good. And of course, to some degree, going back to this noumena behind the phenomena, there's some truth to it. because they don't have the knowledge that we have in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So they don't have the vision to see the noumena behind the phenomena. So because of that, it's somewhat logical to think that it came from nothing. So the whole goal is to explain the actual reality of the creation of this universe. And this is what this temple will manifest. And it's the only temple in the world that will do that. And it's right and fitting that it's in our world headquarters in Sridham Mayapur, because that's another thing that this temple completes. It actually completes the spiritual or the transcendental structure of ISKCON. And ISKCON has all of its satellites all throughout the world. When it started with one satellite in 26 Second Avenue, started by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, in 1966. And then, by the time Srila Prabhupada left in 1977, we had 108 of those satellites. Today, we have over 700 of those satellites. And going forward, we will go into the thousands and thousands of satellites around the world. And the idea is that Sridham Mayapur is right at the center. And it will give inspiration, and it will give us the ability, it was said already today, to recharge our batteries when we visit there. But likewise, as Prabhupada said, he wants the whole world to come to Mayapur. So all of those satellites, just like yesterday in Soho Street, packed out hundreds of people, and many of our centers around the world are like that, that we can encourage and invite those devotees to come to Mayapur. So we're bringing all of those people to Mayapur. So these satellites are like the roots, if you like, of ISKCON. We come to Mayapur. Mayapur is like this massive tree. And we feed it by bringing all these people this tree, and feed the roots, feed the trunk, and this tree grows, and it blossoms luxuriantly out, the leaves and the flowers, up into the spiritual world. And it brings us all back to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So, this project, it's just it's sometimes it's said that it's hard to understand when you're part of history. It's very hard to understand that. But I think we can all just about get a little glimpse that we are actually part of history in being involved with this project that's taking place right now in Sridham Mayapur. And as it was also said, that Srila Prabhupada didn't take all the credit for himself. Lord Chaitanya said the same thing, that he didn't take all the credit from. We all have the opportunity to get involved and participate. And not that we're looking for credit, but I think I'll admit that I'm very happy to get mercy and to get, the benefit from engaging in the spiritual process. And there's nothing. In that conversation in 1971, when Prabhupada was in the Calcutta temple, Giriraj Swami was present. And Giriraj Swami was so taken by Prabhupada's almost intense focus on this project of the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, that he said, Prabhupada, I thought that book distribution was your most important mission. But I can see now that the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium is at least equal with that. And Prabhupada had a big beaming smile on his face. And he said to Giriraj Maharaj, he said, yes, thank you very much for understanding. So Srila Prabhupada actually started this mission before he came to the West. He started the mission with the translation and writing of the Easy Journey to Other Planets book. From there, he's translated huge volumes of Shastra, as we know, and books and book distribution was a huge part. He also wanted to establish the worldwide movement of ISKCON, which he's done. 108 centers when Prabhupada left in 1977, over 700 centers now. So that's happening. But this building, the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, really is the crowning glory, the last piece of the jigsaw to unite all of those things together in ISKCON. And it will become complete, and just like a snowball, that once you start that process of rolling the snowball down the hill, once it gets to a certain momentum, you can't stop it. It just goes and goes and goes. And I'm personally convinced that when Shishi Radhamadava, when Shishi Panchatattva, and when Lord Nrsingadev moved that, 150 meters from the temple that they're presently in to this new temple, that snowball will be so big, it will be unstoppable. And we can all do that. We can all participate to get that snowball to that size. I will finish. I think Bhaktivedanta Thakur was just a tiny bit more merciful than Jananivas Prabhu when he was speaking. He addressed you and said, Bhaktivedanta Thakur said, Europeans, Europeans, Europeans to participate in this project. I know most of you are sitting there today thinking, hang on a sec, we're Europeans second, we're British first. Bhaktivedanta Thakur also said, British and English people, he wanted to participate in this project and all come there and chant Hare Krishna and participate in this wonderful fulfillment of this Temple of the Vedic Planetarium. I'm going to hand over to Radhajivan Prabhu now, and he's going to lead you step by step exactly how you can do that. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki!